You know, if I had to pick any single genre of YouTube content that makes my brain feel like it just got a massive load of skibbity Ohio guyette cringe, then I'd have to pick YouTube drama.
They start rounding up the Jews again. I hope
fell right in my trap.
How am I bad, dude?
Narcissism and greed.
Me.
Have you catched up on the latest YouTube gossip yet?
YouTube drama is perhaps one of the most deranged disease things in recent years I have ever seen. I'm basically older than the eldritch gods of H.P. Lovecraft when it comes to YouTube content. Basically, I am the elder god. I was there for the era of Vine meme infestation, even if I didn't give a shit about Vine itself.
5 inches deep in your bomb.
I was there to see the original rise of Smosh in all its 144p glory. Hell, I was there for the era of Fred. Yeah, that Fred.
Hey, it's Fred! And I'm Eagle Monsters!
And I was also there for the putrid hilarity that was 2016 YouTube drama content. You know, Leafy is here, grade A under A type shit. I'm basically like an elven priest that's been there to see everything, ever since YouTube first started in 2006. So I've seen just about any kind of content that the platform has ever had to offer. But nothing really makes me lose my brain cells more than modern day YouTube drama content. It's like dumping a mountain of cocaine into a single shot glass, mixing it with pure gasoline, and then lighting that shit on fire. Except it's too late to enjoy whatever messed up concoction you've made, because everything including yourself is on fire. But if there's any single community that's had some of the most mind-shriveling content that makes me question if I'm really a half-breed 34-year-old Chinaman, or some ghoulish ghost running around in someone else's matrix where nothing else is normal, then it would have to be the single most batshit insane community I've ever seen. The Gacha community. Basically the proof that Goku Black was right all along. And no, I don't mean the disease known as the Gacha life community. I mean literal fucking gambling addicts.
What the f***?
Okay, so, if you've ever been a part of any Gacha community, like say the one and only Cunny Archive, or the Honkai Star Rail community, then you know the kind of community I'm talking about. The kind of community where having straight shits is the same thing as giving a salute to Hitler himself. Because every character is somehow a raging homosexual monkey, or the kind of community where they send death threats because you fap to non-existent anime characters. But really, Gacha communities are typically made up of 3 types of people. 1. Balding men and escapees from the asylum, who basically have got so much time and money on their hands that them throwing money at Gacha is like KSI losing money on Luna. Literally didn't stop him from recovering from his retarded mistakes. These types of people are normally only seen as content creators, and anyone else with the title is probably, hiding their power level. Number 2, narcissistic man-children with too much time on their hands, and basically they're like the average member of any Gacha community you've seen, and they're usually separated into their own separate cliques. You've basically got the people who just want to fap to hot girls or guys. You also have the kind of people who take a character's implied or stated sexuality too seriously, to the point that they schizophrenically scream like a 4chan user does to a glowy whenever they spot a straight chip. Basically, the true absolute scum of humanity. And then you have the people who just want to play the game because they're more addicted to stats than a femcel is to AI chatbots. Number 2 is basically made up of these types of groups and a few others. And finally, number 3, Zoomers who are too old to play Fortnite without getting a murder charge because having to listen to screaming children 24/7 is like sticking your ear right next to a speaker that blasts your average Discord voice chat at distorted volumes. But of course you also have me. Someone who's basically an autistic loner, who'd rather be holed up in a cave with all his waifus jerking it 3 times a day like a fucking ritual, but is also too old to be antisocial these days. So, I kind of have to leave my cave. But we're not here to talk about me. We're here to talk about the first type of people in the Gacha sphere, specifically the people in the content creation section. Gacha content creators are some of the most boring examples of what happens when you don't get smacked in the face as a child by your mom and dad.
The last 10 seconds of that trailer was unnecessary and really reduced how powerful of a character Firefly could be, but instead they reduce her to waifu like, come on.
This you?
Firefly, number 1, she's so cute. Oh my god, what did I say? Guys, what did I say? Literally before this, I was like, wow, I just want Firefly to be like a really cute girl who we date and we just have fun with, and that's what they're giving me.
Most of them can't take a fucking joke without going into a tirade about why they're actually the best person on the planet because they pick mints for their favorite company. And trust me, they don't get paid for this shit. And just about every single one of them probably has more skeletons in their closet than a graveyard. You can't even live without the knowledge that they're probably hiding something without it eating away at the back of your mind like an intrusive schizophrenic thought, more invasive than the Q from All Tomorrows. Because it's probably true. And most of it is down to one type of gacha community, the Hoyoverse stands. Typically found on Twitter, and they're usually the centerpiece of all this, as well as the content creators around them. Almost every year, every month, there's some kind of drama surrounding some kind of content creator for games like Genshin Impact or Star Rail, where they're either trying to tear someone down that's further ahead of them on the clout ladder, or trying to start drama just to get more views. And they can never really take responsibility for their own hand in the drama. Not some putrid idea like influencer responsibility, like shitting his pants iDubbbz over here, but I mean actual responsibility. More often than not, even if they're not the only ones involved in a drama, they'll usually try to write off their place in the drama by saying that it's all because of someone else. Yes, the reason you chose to be a piece of shit was because someone else hurt your feelings, more than a diss track by fucking Rice Gum to some 12-year-old, all because they made a small joke at your expense. And you just can't have any of that now, can we? And most of the drama usually centers around games made by Hoyoverse and the content creators for that, and it's usually because of Twitter-brained retards who are more retarded than a college student ODing on so much Adderall that they regress into a fucking Fortnite player chug-jugging on his mama's chalky milk, while jerking his little pee to images of Scarlett Johansson when she has her makeup on. And most of these people have either a mild to severe case of MCS, aka main character syndrome, or as I like to call it, my cock is small syndrome.
I'm going to take it off.
So I figured I'd make a video just, shoving my 2-inch half-breed Asian schlong into your faces, and just talk about the 3 stupidest content creators in the gacha community, in my opinion at least, because I think it's high time someone just said it how it is, 2016 style, with no filter. And I mean no filter. People like to filter their coffee, right? Or they like to filter the taste of it through additives. Well, this video is going to be a complete blacker than black coffee, and I've removed the cream and sugar. The only cream you're getting is the cream from my dick. And I figured we'd start off with one of my favorite content creators. I like this guy the way I imagine Big Bungie likes Keemstar. Basically a guy whose existence rides a shit ton these days on drama, with a foul mouth. He's not the worst person, but he is one of my favorites. And this literal bald-headed goblin goes by the name Tectone. So Tectone is probably one of the most infamous people when it comes to drama in the online gacha community. He's the kind of guy who's right 50% of the time he speaks, and the other 50% is just him being a massive turd flying in the wind, hoping to hit its mark. But it only ever really ends up landing smack dab in your grandmother's face, blinding her so badly that she runs right into traffic, causing every car to swerve into each other, leaving a bloody mess around. Really, he's just the kind of guy who never really grew up out of his bully phase. Not that I have a problem with bullies, mind you, but he never really got a true master's in bullology. A type of, edgelord, one might say. The kind of guy who likes to embody a certain type of edgelord. Not the, crawling in my skin, trainee phantom type of edgelord. The one. But the kind of tried and true edgelord that George Jenko embodies.
But also, guys, I gotta say, I'm pretty excited. My biggest fear was to get hated on and do something that the world's like, yo, fuck this guy. And I did. And low-key, this is kind of bad. I loved it.
Basically, he's tricked himself into thinking that he's some kind of eldritch lich that gobbles up hate and drama like soul food in the Boondocks. When in reality, he's probably screaming at the top of his lungs off stream, like this one Chinese man does playing a heated game of Crossfire. Now you see, I'm the kind of edgelord that doesn't really feed on people hating me. I just don't give a shit. But Tectone wants you to think that he's like some kind of abyss that just feeds on hatred, like he's some kind of, semi-fat balding Sith Lord. Essentially, he wants you to think that him not being at the center of drama will make him drop to his knees like Yugi does every time some TikTok clown actually succeeds in showing off his unspoken riz.
It's not fair!
And I don't want to go too far into this next point, since it's not really the worst thing he could do. In fact, it's not even that bad, but he really hates Lolly and Shota. In fact, he hates it so much he went on to make an entire segment of a stream about some clown on YouTube called Kabuki. And the problem is, he tries to justify his hatred and him calling Kabuki a criminal.
If you were to report a crime to a police officer, that would not be
considered drama.
by using his own past traumas.
It's the same reason why I don't like lolicons. I had sexual abuse when I was a child, so it makes me very angry when I see other people sexualizing children or anime children.
Like, dude, I get it. You went through some fucked up shit. But touch some fucking grass, man. You know, there's a reason the police don't really arrest people usually over this stuff. And even when they do, it's because real CP was involved on top of it. And it's all because it's not fucking real. So what exactly are you getting out of wasting your time on this? Like, bro, unless you have evidence that he's an actual predator who's currently hunting children, then drop the phone and just go back to streaming. Your trauma isn't going to make it that any of the time that you wasted on Kabuki meant anything worthwhile. Kabuki, for those of you who don't know, is this one guy who made some shitty tier list video called, I don't know, most breedable Genshin Impact characters, or some other shit like that. And he featured the most prepubescent little gremlins at the top of the list. And honestly, kinda base, not gonna lie. Well, okay, you know, aside from Kabuki being your usual flair of internet weeaboo freakazoid, did Tectone really need to waste his and his audience of autistic wannabe Ohio Rizzlers' time? No, not really.
Keep in mind Kabuki was, and is, a minuscule channel as well, so it's not like you'd have made that much money talking about him. And also he claimed he didn't know what loli was until a certain point in this tweet during 2021, despite, well, this little Twitch clip from 2020.
I'm saying, what's wrong with that?
Chat's gonna twist it.
Well, I like lollies too.
If you didn't know what loli meant, then why do you know what futa means?
I am a 26-year-old straight white male, and that is the perspective of which I will be arguing from. I graduated from Yale with honors in Futanari Gender Studies.
For someone who made a video talking about avoiding pointless stuff, I really hope that you meant it, dude. Because this was grade A fucking pointless. As pointless as the Libertarian Party of America in 2016, who thought that Gary Johnson was a good pick for president. You know, a man who thought that the sun exploding was a form of climate change, as, you know, compared to the natural cycle of any star. So, pretty fucking pointless. And, you know, get this. After this whole Kabuki falafel went down, Tectone unfollowed over 900 Twitter artists, tons of which were out and about 24/7 lolly huffing loons who drew lolly shit all the time. Hell, one of them got screenshotted and they went under the Twitter handle, I don't know, Mizumi Zuni. And this guy, I shit you not, is nothing but a lolly artist for the most part. You can't follow this guy and, you know, never see this shit. And when I say lolly shit, I mean hardcore shit. Like massive dongs pressed against little girls' faces type of shit. Hardcore veiny and thick, and everything in between. And when Tectone got called out for it, he tried to backpedal and avoid admitting to the hypocrisy. Like, sorry man, but you can't tell me you wouldn't have seen it. Unless you want me to think you pulled off a vouch before Vouch even did the vouch that put him in Twitter jail. I guess the only difference is that one of them is an advent lover of big, thick horse cock. But who knows, I could be wrong. Maybe both of them are
huge size queen.
You know, one moment Techie Wecky is acting like some internet giga chad over here without a shirt on, and then the next he's like, I don't know, some Twitter-brained ideologue who thinks anime is real, and anytime you watch someone diddle a little kitty in a hentai, the children in real life are getting their supple little asses rammed in a white van by a middle-aged man in a Freddy Fazbear costume, or wearing some shitty Fortnite cosplay where they're doing the gritty all over your little sister's cooch. And you can't tell me that he hasn't tried to pander to the kind of audience Kabuki has. You ever heard of Blue Archive? Yeah, well, Tectone has, and he thought it would be a great idea to make the thumbnail for his video on the game feature some sweet juicy cunny thighs and some little cunny calves. And the thing is, this wouldn't be a problem if he wasn't such a hypocrite. His justification for going after people like Kabuki is that it doesn't matter if the lolly or shota is 1,000 years old. It doesn't matter if it's just fiction, because you're still a criminal.
When you come here and you tell me that you're attracted to this and that it doesn't matter because it's in an anime, you are fucked up.
He's basically saying it's still real life, that it doesn't matter if it's pretend. Well, let's crack this egg open and see what he pretended to do on stream.
Ready to jack their fucking shit off. Okay, because this is the whole fucking meta now, is getting bare ass naked and then tons of dudes fucking cranking their fucking shit. That's the whole fucking thing.
He pretended to pull off a dark side fill on stream and fake jerked off. At least I think it's fake. And he's not a Kick streamer. He's a Twitch streamer. So for sure, he's got little kids watching him pretend to jerk off.
You are the content that you consume. It's going to affect you. It is.
Look, all I'm saying is that if some loser in his basement jacking it to lollies is a crime, then you cranking the hog in front of your wild audience of brain-rotted kids and teens and adults is the same as you actually doing it around children, Cranktone. So look, Techie, my boy, while I get that you had a fucked up life, just drop the hypocrisy, man. I know damn well that seeing some little girl in a gacha game like Klee isn't going to make you relive whatever or whoever it was that diddled you when you were a kid, because you would have already broken down on stream every time you saw Klee or Bailu. And maybe if you weren't trying so hard to come off as an anti-lollycon by calling someone that's not a lolly, you'd have more time to do what you're best at. And that's not to say that I hate Tectone or anything. I tend to like the guy, okay? I tend to like, I like people who enjoy stirring the pot. And he stirs the pot a lot. Plus, his anguished cries for help when he gets ass blasted by Honkai Star Rail are definitely music to my ears. And hey, out of everyone, he is the least filtered from what I've seen. Just be glad he's not as unfiltered as me, because if he was, and didn't give a shit like I do, he'd probably be stuck streaming on Kick, considering I've used the F-slur in jokes before. And hey, like I said, he's like a broken clock, okay? He's right half the time. If it wasn't for a certain fellow rice eater of mine, he'd probably not have half the corrupted reputation that he has, or half the trauma he's faced in recent years. Poor old Tectone over here probably lost his best friend for a whole 3 years straight until some recent shit came to light, all because of this, this fucking rice eater right here. And Mr. Eggface over here told a story that was indeed pretty gut-wrenching. So Tectone is really just kind of a weird gremlin that can morph on command, from a terminally online freak to a real person. One moment he's telling a true story about pain and loss, the next he's finding a 16-year-old anime girl like Seele in Honkai Impact attractive, and then rolling it back and saying she's the ugliest thing since, Ronda Rousey, all because she's 16.
My queen. Can I think that a girl's hot because she's a lesbian? She's 16? I hate her. She's ugly. She's gross. What a disgusting character. You telling me this is a kid? No, you're wrong. Hey, sorry, man. The devs are wrong. Yeah, I actually checked. This is what any chick in their 23s to 28s looks like.
And yeah, I said Seele, not Zila. Literally inbred tier reading comprehension. And this goes double for Hoyo's dogshit localization team. Learn some fucking English, man. So yeah, honestly, Tectone, he's kind of a scumbag. Not that he followed lolly artists or the kabuki stuff, but the fact that he's such a pussy that he can't even own up to his own interests.
I just say, fuck it. It must just be a small adult. First of all, I'm gonna keep it a buck. Sparkle is fuckable as shit. The only thing that matters is body type, and I can see how this passes off for a young adult. It's so hard, because an anime short and flat generally looks like a kid, no? I was under the impression that she was a youngin'. The only thing that matters is body type. Short and flat generally looks like a kid, no?
Because he's always looking to stir the pot and come off on some moral high horse. Like, dude, if you like lollies, just like them. If you hate them, just hate them. Don't tell me your little life story. You don't need to justify a hatred. Come on, hate makes the world go round.
Also, here's Tectone trying to justify being a fan of Venti's fat Shota femboy ass.
Venti has the build of a slender young man. 18 to 20, I'd guess, perhaps even 24. He also frequents in adult activities, like drinking alcohol.
You know who also does adult activities? This is the mixologist Diona, ascendant star of Mondstadt's wine industry and the greatest challenger to its traditional powerhouses. Diona is also a bartender at the Cat's Tail. Also, let's not forget about the time he said, Faruzan looked 12.
Congratulations, Hoyoverse. You have made another character that I find absolutely fucking disgusting. You made a character that looks 12 in the form of Faruzan. Fuck that. I hate that shit. Now all these fucking freaks are gonna say, oh, well, she's fucking 1,000 in lore, so I can beat off to her. It's fucking freaky, dude.
Despite him simping for someone who looks no different body-wise.
You make me feel like I'm a little kid back in middle school. They have a fucking crush on you now, and it's not healthy. This woman doesn't need massive curvatures to be the best goddamn waifu in the game. Oh, she's so cute, bro.
Stop trying to get Twitter to like you. Essentially, cope harder, you bald fat Shota lover.
But aside from that, Tectone is probably a guy you shouldn't trust, unless you're already in his friend circle, because if we go by what he says about himself and what he values, if Kabuki was already friends with him, Kabuki would have been safe from his and his autistic fanbase's wrath that makes a 12-year-old's wrath over not being able to play Fortnite look like a Bengal tiger in comparison. Because Tectone will back his friends, but that doesn't mean he'll back others and hold himself to what he says he believes in, aside from helping his friends. Which again, loyalty is admirable.
Rev says that you and Joey are lolicon. I literally broke down every single point and showed him why he's wrong.
Beatrice, my waifu from ReZero. Yeah, you're getting an ass treatment right there.
I lost myself to this obsession of girls who look too young for me to have a sexual attraction.
Right? And I even admitted to the ones where I thought he was right. I agree. I do think it's a little bit hypocritical of me to follow people who I know like lollies. I definitely think that's hypocritical. But the thing is, Joey's one of the reasons why I started YouTube, and Lakari's one of my best friends, so he's gonna have to overlook shit sometimes.
I did. Hey, you play League, you like lollies, and you practice net hard.
But seriously, just put some grass in a blender with some fucking vodka, down that shit, and ignore the intrusive thoughts. Like I said, sometimes he's right, and other times he's more wrong than your average Twitter leftist is about a fictional character's sexuality. And it's not like he's the one who starts all the drama he's involved in, so not the worst person on the list. You've got a whole life ahead of you, so just stay in your lane and stick to calling people mint picker. And speaking of someone being a
fucking stupid mint picker.
Alrighty, meet Slime Boy over here. This slimy-wimey baby over here is called Enviosity. Literally the biggest woman's sex hole that I've ever seen on the internet. Now, Enviosity isn't exactly someone who I would say is the biggest example of a drama starter. Not that he hasn't started shit, and we've got someone much worse than him on the list, but he's such a fucking loser that I had to put him on the list.
No one cares. No one fucking cares, dude.
He's basically the guy who stays in a burning building and then blames everyone else for why he decided to stay there, getting third-degree burns that he has to have his mommy put aloe vera on every day to deal with. Enviosity is basically a literal manchild that likes to roleplay as if he were the Jesus Christ of Gacha. Not in the same way that Atsu does, but in the same way that your average leftist breadtuber likes to pretend they're Jesus. They're a literal freshly born baby that just got its ass smacked by the doctor, and their cries have an entire truck ton of reverb added to it in Adobe Premiere. Except in this case, it's not crying about capitalism because some bigger YouTuber is making more money than them, but because someone is giving them more money. One moment, Enviosity is doing his literal mint picking, the next moment he's crying about not being free to play because someone gifted him the kind of freebie in Genshin that would be the equivalent of me buying a homeless person the saltiest of crackers from the supermarket, only making him cry more because he just can't stop rubbing the salted crackers in his eyes after he literally blinded himself by drinking sewer water. And can we just talk about the title, Mint Picker? Obviously he didn't gift himself with such a glorious title, but he sure as fuck earned it, when picking mints is literally all he does in Genshin Impact. And the name Mint Picker? I have to agree with Tectone, that the name Mint Picker sounds like a fucking slur. And it's a goddamn good one at that. Mint Picker. It's like something you'd see some poor Vietnamese father pick in the fields for some, coked out drug lord. It's like the roots of my Asian ancestry are calling to me. Guys, I think I might actually be a mint picker. Yeah, I have memories of my great ancestors picking mints in the fields for Mao Zedong. God damn. And he's not just a filthy mint picker either. He's also got a bit of the ego of Andrew Tate. Andrew Tate likes to think that he's God's gift to the world because he learned kickboxing and became a champ. As if that was all it took to truly become a real Alpha Sigma male. Well, our trusty little mint picker over here likes to think that he should be the only one praised just for being free to play.
I should be the only motherfucker getting praise in the Genshin community because I don't spend money on Genshin Impact.
Oh my god, what the f is that ego, bro?
As if all the mint picking he does for Hoyoverse makes him the equivalent of an African slave, working on some pasty cowboy's cotton farm, and the rest of us owe him reparations, because he's such a free-to-play god. He's the greatest mint picker since my ancestor, Great Granddaddy Hong. And when Atsu and Braxophone had their little drama going on, Minty Fresh over here decided that in his infinite free-to-play wisdom, he'd try to take advantage of it to talk about Tectone.
Stop the cap.
Because keep in mind, for a lot of these, content creators, pointing fingers is all they can really do. Especially Wintergreen over here, who's only beat out by our last CC on the list. You want my advice? How about you stick to mint picking for your Chinese slave masters at Hoyoverse, and, don't open your fucking mouth. Because every time you do, you resemble a fucking child who gets mad when your school doesn't give out participation trophies for the most basic shit. And the only thing worse than a literal child in an adult's skin is an Asian with a severe case of main character syndrome. Oh wait, I think we actually have an example of that. Okay, so, when I mentioned how most content creators in the Gacha community probably have skeletons in their closet, I think this guy is the prime example of that. He's got so many skeletons in his closet that he's for the Gacha community what the Clintons are for politics. And that's saying a lot. He's been a puppet master for a shit ton of people's problems, including driving Tectone to depression through manipulating not only Tectone, but also his friend Goose. And I'd say Goose is probably the least likely I've seen to have that many skeletons in his closet, if any at all. Not because I know him, but because, you kind of just have to always have that one sweet foul-mouthed angel that keeps the demons at bay. Pause. No homo. But Atsu probably drove Goosey over here to literal suicide at one point, manipulating him like some wannabe Machiavellian charlatan, convincing Goose that he should leave Tectone's house and avoid him entirely. Yeah, that's right. Gooseboy over here, well, he used to live with Tectone. And Atsu over here has such a hate boner for Tectone that Tectone is like some bald-headed Van Helsing to this full-blooded Asian Dracula, who literally ladder climbs like a fucking leech by collaborating with people bigger than him or big enough that he'd walk away with some big fat checks for views. He hated Tectone so much that he tried to ruin Tectone's friendship with Goose, like some twisted, deranged ex who's jealous because Chad went on a date with the nerdy girl instead of her. And trust me when I say, Atsu is about as fake as any Stacy's makeup. And if it weren't for Atsu, we might have seen a bigger, better Tectone than the clown we have now, who's so mentally deranged that he might as well be wearing clown makeup. Not that I don't like clowns. I kind of fancy myself a bit of a clown too. At least I admit it. But Atsu, he's not even a clown. He's just a full-on demon spawn right from Satan's ballsack. But Atsu is the kind of guy who thinks he's the Albert Wesker of harem protagonists, manipulating all of his enemies, when in actuality, the dude is so fucking full of himself that he may as well be the actual Andrew Tate of the Gacha community, with how big his ego is. Just look at his fucking thumbnails. Tell me this guy isn't full-on possessed by main character syndrome.
Because you chose me, and because you believed in the me that believes in you, Banya-san. You walked so that I could run. But when I run, you may follow in my tailwind.
You're not that guy, pal. Trust me. You're not that guy.
He thinks he's literally Jesus Christ for whatever community he's in. He thinks he's fucking Henry Cavill playing Superman in Man of Steel, and Doug Walker's quote is just on infinite repeat. And not only did he manipulate poor Goose here, he's been manipulating all kinds of things behind the scenes. See, this guy here, his name's Braxophone. He's kind of like me, an introvert. As in, he's someone who's been too afraid to talk to people a lot of times.
You haven't showered in a month. Get in the goddamn bath.
But unlike me, he probably isn't 34 years old, who's had the horrors of living in a fucking apartment building for some of the most mentally deranged, high-functioning people you've ever seen. And trust me, that shit will make you leave your apartment to touch more grass than your dad's 12-year-old lawnmower. But for Brax, he did his best, trying to collab with people, trying to make some actual friends, within the sphere of content creation. In fact, I think he said he liked Atsu, and when he got the chance to meet him, well, Atsu was, let's just say, not very nice. Atsu, in the back of his putrid, narcissistic, scheming little peanut-sized brain, decided he didn't like Brax whatsoever, and his excuse for treating him like shit was, I didn't like his vibe, or some shit like that. Like some fucking stoner who thinks he's unlocked some mythical empath ability after he smoked enough dank kush that he feels like he's on the moon, and he can just read your bad intentions, like he's Black Swan's alternate reality gender-bent version, except he's as unappealing to look at as a harem protagonist in some Wattpad fanfiction, if that protagonist had full-on Down syndrome. So Atsu spent years for no fucking reason telling other content creators not to trust Braxophone. And to be honest, I believe there's evidence that Atsu doesn't like Brax just because he's white. And considering the day and age we live in, I'd believe it. You can't go anywhere without someone in your vicinity probably being so politically brained and terminally on Twitter mode that they think you're some, I don't know, evil goblin spawned from literal Hitler's nutsack, all because you're white. And Brax, well, he's as white as the sand on the beaches of Destin, Florida. And to me, Atsu comes off as the guy who's so full of himself and his beliefs that he thinks the only people who get to hang around him are non-whites and women, because he probably thinks every girl in the world is destined to be a part of his diseased harem. Atsu even made 2 different documents over 30 pages each that literally spend all day doing nothing but making accusations while providing no evidence whatsoever in his own defense. Like, imagine being a wanted criminal and you have all the evidence against you and your only comeback is a literal video of you saying, "Nuh-uh." If you ask me, I wouldn't be surprised if Atsu has so many skeletons in his closet that he belongs in fucking prison. And if you ask me, I'd say he's the biggest fucking dumbass I've ever seen in the content creator sphere of the Gacha community. His IQ is like a mixture of room temperature and inbred, mixed together, with Patrick Bateman, because eventually, this kind of shit would get found out. But anyways, I think I'm done. I've said my piece. Goose, Brax, I like you too. Like, actually like you. Pause. As much as I can, I guess, without knowing you personally. You two are, quite alright. But let me leave the rest of you off with a little song. A little number I wrote for all of you literal cockgoblins who suck on the drama jizz stick, even at the expense of your own friends or even just random people you think you can get views from. A song to all you drama hogs out there who feel the need to ruin each other's livelihoods because you're so starved for content that you might as well be lost in a desert and your only source of water is your own piss. Drama is my whole game. Stir up flames. YouTube fame. Not my friends, just my pawns. Their distress is the best. You are my big ticket to success. So I will lie about you, I don't care whether or not it's true. I will leech right off of you, I don't care if we're friends, money is all. I will manipulate your life to meet my own ends. Fake fights, real gains, monetized pains, truth who really fucking cares. More drama, more shares, that's all I really care for, because you're my own ticket to the stars.